evening. Welcome to the Town of Avon Advisory Plan Commission meeting. If you are interested in having a copy of the agenda, they are available on the tables to the right of the audience. We will be conducting business as outlined on the agenda. From time to time, the board may deviate from the agenda. As president of this body, I will inform those in attendance of any deviations. This meeting is being recorded for the public record. Because of this, we request that personal conversations are kept to a minimum and that all cell phones are set to vibrate. Any phone calls should be taken outside of the chambers. If you are interested in commenting during the public hearing portion of the commission's deliberations, please sign up on the sheets located on the tables to the right of the audience. When your name is called, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Please address your comments to the board and not to the staff or the petitioner. Your comments should relate directly to the case at hand. During the conduct of the public hearing portion of the commission's deliberations, the petitioner will have 10 minutes to present their case to the commission. Remonstrators will have 10 minutes to present objections to the petition, and persons in support of the petition other than the petitioner will have 10 minutes to present support for the petition. Finally, the petitioner will close the public hearing portion of the presentation with a 5-minute rebuttal period. Once the public hearing is closed, no additional testimony will be heard unless it is solicited by members of the commission during the question and answer phase of the commission's deliberations. Subdivision plat and development plan petitions are ministerial requests, meaning that if the proposal meets the requirements set forth in the town's development ordinances, the Plan Commission must approve the request. In the interest of transparency, state law requires that the Plan Commission hold a public hearing, even if the development proposal must be approved. Responses to public comments and questions may be given once the public hearing portion is closed. We do understand that there may be several persons who wish to speak. In order to keep the meeting running in a timely fashion, we request that you not repeat previous comments. Thank you for your assistance in facilitating a respectful, fair, and timely meeting. Again, welcome to our meeting, and please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We can now do a roll call.
Jennifer Spencer.
Here.
Andrew Rockebrand.
Present.
Bill Reed.
Here.
Dave Kaufman. Dave Kaufman is absent. Catherine Ransberg.
Present.
Paul Guckenberger.
Here.
Greg Zusen.
Present.
And we have a quorum. We now move on to the approval of the July meeting minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them? And are there any questions or suggested edits or changes? If not, we'll take a motion for approval of the July meeting minutes.
I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve the July 28th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented.
I second.
Having had a motion and a second, we'll now take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. With a unanimous approval, the meeting minutes are approved. We now move on to the public comment section. This is the opportunity at which those of you who are here tonight may speak about any item that is not already on the agenda. If it is already on the agenda, please wait for that time to come forward. But if there's something else you'd like to speak about, this is your opportunity to do so. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to the commission tonight? Having had nobody come forward, the public comment section is now closed. Requests for continuances or agenda modifications? There are none. According to staff, we have no old business, and we now move on to new business that we're all very excited about, which is the Town of Avon Comprehensive Plan update.
So we have Rachel here from HWC back. You heard the presentation from her at your special meeting on July 14th. She's back to do the official presentation or public hearing for you tonight. I just wanted to touch on a few things because the comp plan adoption process is a little bit different than zoning amendments. I just wanted to make sure y'all understood the state statute on how the process works. So today, August 25th, at the end of this meeting, hopefully you will make a recommendation on the comprehensive plan to the town council. Prior to tonight's hearing, we published in the newspaper as required by statute. We also had a copy of the comp plan at the front counter for anyone to take a look at, and we also referenced the website for people to review the plan. Once you make a recommendation tonight, the secretary of the plan commission, which is me, would certify it to the town council. The council will consider a resolution, not an ordinance, but a resolution to approve the plan. The council has the option to approve it, reject it, or amend the plan. If they reject it or make amendments to it, the council then sends it back to the commission. The commission has 60 days to consider what the town council wanted as amendments. The commission can approve the amendments that were suggested by council, and if they do approve them, then the comprehensive plan stands as approved once the commission sees it the second time. If the commission disapproves or doesn't like the amendments the town council sent back or sent to the commission, what would happen is the town council would see the plan again, and then if they wanted to continue on with their proposed amendments, they would adopt a second resolution, and then the plan would become official. The plan is tentatively scheduled to be on town council's agenda on September 11th. And again, that's tentative. And if it's approved, the plan would be recorded in the Hendricks County Recorder's Office per state statute. So that's the overall procedure for the plan adoption process. I wanted to make sure you were aware of it. Do you have any questions on process before we go to Rachel?
There we go. Much better. Thank you, Ryan. Oh, thank you, Linda. Okay, excellent. My name's Rachel Christensen, and I think last time I gave my address and I was prepared this time. So I'm with HWC Engineering at 135 North Pennsylvania Street in Indianapolis. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Excited to be here at one of the adoption meetings for the comprehensive plan. This is one that the Plan Commission and the Steering Committee have been working on for quite some time now. It's a robust planning document, and we're just really excited to be at this point where we are wrapping things up. So tonight, I'm just going to do a very brief comp plan overview, go over the planning process and the timeline, talk about the public engagement that has been received throughout the planning process, give you a very brief plan summary, and then just to reiterate that plan, the pathway to adoption. We've gone over some of this before, so this is a very condensed version of what we did at the public presentation last month. But a comprehensive plan is this long-range guide for community growth, development, and investment. It's used by leaders, staff, organizations, property owners, et cetera, when making decisions about, if they want to invest in Avon. Legal requirements, there has to be objectives for future development within the plan, a policy for land use development, and a policy for the development of public ways, lands, and public utilities. So that would be your roads and your parks and any other property that the town owns. Goals of the plan, we wanted to understand current community conditions. We wanted to set clear vision and goals for the future, and then identify actionable projects to implement the vision. So it's not just here's some pretty goals and objectives. We wanted to actually dig in and say, this is how we're going to make this happen in the future. We had 4 key phases to the planning process. The first one was casting that vision. We formed our steering committee. We did some data collection and demographic collection, and we kicked off that first steering committee meeting. As we rolled into phase 2, this was really the biggest piece where we had a lot of public engagement happening there. We have a website that's still up right now. We did a public survey, a workshop, focus groups and stakeholder meetings. There was yard signs out around town to help spread the word. The third phase, we really, that was the biggest piece of this process, was forming the plan. So that's when we started putting the document together. We had a big ideas open house where we touched base with the public again to make sure that we were headed in the right direction. And then now we're in this fourth phase of the practical action steps. So we developed an action plan. We wrapped up our steering committee meetings, and we had a public draft that actually went out to the public for review. The public engagement, our online, you guys did wonderful with public engagement here in Avon. We had 607 responses to the online survey. The public workshop had about 16 participants. 27 participated in focus group discussions, and we had an excellent turnout at a pop-up event where we had over 122 comments that were received. There was a vision statement that was developed as part of the plan. And there were themes that came out of the public engagement piece. So obviously there are traffic and transportation challenges in Avon. There was a lot of talk about future growth and growth management, housing options, community identity and placemaking, economic development, parks, rec, and open space, and also governance and jurisdictional coordination. There was a lot of talk about Swiss cheese. We did develop a new future land use map, and this future land use map looks at areas that even go outside of Avon's current town boundaries. And this was just in order to help, in the future, if any of these areas are annexed by the town, the town does have, some framework on what that might look like. There were 6 districts that were identified in this plan, and 4 of them we really took a deeper dive into. So the 6 districts, they were named the Riverwalk District, Greenway District North, Greenway District South, the Midtown District, the Revitalization District, and the Live Work District. And the 4 that are highlighted were ones that we did the deeper dive into, and we did design principles. We have a conceptual plan. There's more of a description of what that district is. And we also included some precedent imagery of what those districts could look like in the future. And those districts are highlighted on this map. So now we are in this end of the process, the pathway to adoption. We did our public presentation on July 14th, and that plan has been available online since then at plancommissionagenda.gov. We did request that any feedback from the commission or from the public to be sent to us by August 1st. We did receive a couple things that we did integrate into the plan, and that draft plan has been prepared for you tonight for your consideration. Which brings us to August 25th. And as Linda explained, the Plan Commission will consider a certified recommendation to the Town Council. And then this is tentatively scheduled to go to the Town Council. If you guys make a recommendation tonight, it would tentatively go to that September 11th Town Council meeting. I would again do a very brief presentation there, answer any questions that the council may have, and then they would take that under consideration on that resolution. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those. And if there are none, that's okay too.
I just want to say thank you to you and your company for all the work that you put into this and for working with us as diligently and especially listening to the concerns of the steering committee and the Plan Commission and incorporating that into this final product. So thank you for that.
Yep, you guys have been wonderful to work with, so thank you.
We don't hear that very often.
I know your company's been doing some other work with other municipalities within Hendricks County. How does this plan compare? Are there any similarities?
Well, every plan is unique, of course, and we try to make sure that we are responding to the needs in your community. But it was really great that there had been other plans done recently. You know, Hendricks County Comp Plan, Danville had updated their comprehensive plan not too many years ago. So we were able to look at, you know, what they were proposing for future land use, and then make sure that we were making informed decisions here in Avon with those plans that were already in place. You guys do have your own challenges, of course. You know, the jurisdiction of your community, with it being, I think, you know, the youngest community that I've worked with, and having, you know, those gaps and holes in the town boundaries is a challenge. I think US 36 is, you know, one of your primary challenges as well. And then just looking at your housing opportunities. I wouldn't say the housing is unique, because everyone is really in the state of Indiana is struggling with this housing issue right now. But everyone struggles in their own unique way. So I think all of those things we really tried to address specifically for Avon, but keeping in consideration what else was going on in Hendricks County.
I know one of the concerns I had when we started this was our existing zonings and the loopholes within those zonings.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel as if we've addressed those? And this is really for Paul and Linda as well.
Do you want to take this one?
By loopholes, you mean the enhanced standards in the R2?
The R2.
Yeah, I think that was addressed by our ordinance change. And then what we will do is, once this is adopted, take the recommendations in here and go back to the UDO and really craft it how we want it going forward. But the loophole was certainly closed back when we made the ordinance change.
And then are we revisiting our ordinances now then?
So the next ordinance overhaul that's going to be coming to you relatively soon is more to make corrections and updates, not so much policy changes. There's a lot of corrections. Some changes, yes, you know, especially things we found that were problematic, that didn't meet current standards or something like that. But we're going to do a large overhaul and update the whole thing. And then we're going to go back after this is adopted and really look at policy changes for.
I think that's a challenge that you always have when you've updated a large body of work, and then when you start applying it to real life and you realize, oops, we didn't anticipate that, and then it needs to be tweaked. And I'm looking forward to seeing what tweaks you're recommending. So
There's a lot of them. So yeah, we want to get all those tweaks in and passed and get the ordinance cleaned up, then start working on what changes do we really want to see.
I think then lastly, we have a lot of, I call it pocket density land use maps, 7-acre, 10-acre parcels. Do we address that in this new comprehensive plan?
Well, all the pieces of land have been addressed of what the best, via the future land use map, what the best land use and density would be based on where they are and what access they have to surrounding, you know, trails or schools or that sort of thing.
Yeah, it will give a lot more guidance compared to the previous future land use map that is actually in place right now. So once this is adopted, there will be a more comprehensive future land use map that will really help staff out when you are getting development petitions in.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was going to address, is like the land use map, which I know land use is not a zoning map. So that's the one thing I think we got to remember and remind ourselves as well as the public. But we no longer have those dots, as I call them. And we got land use across Avon and potential future Avon. So I really like that. And I appreciate that the work that you and your team did to guide us through those discussions, because I know we kept going to zoning and then come back to land use, and there's difference of opinion on land uses. So I think the end result gives us something that we can work with. I know it's kind of guiding probably some of the ordinance changes too that we want to see. So again, I want to echo what Catherine said. I think you and your team did a great job of working with us to get us to this point. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that. And I've said this before along the way in this, but the steering committee that we did have some really tough conversations, and the land use map was one of them, where we went back and forth in a couple of meetings. We had a special land use workshop where we just focused on that. And then we had at least 2 steering committee meetings where we revisited that land use map to make sure we were doing, I don't want to say the right thing, but we were in agreement maybe on how we move forward. And, there were some people that weren't 100% happy. And I think that's probably the way that it should be, because everyone has their perspective and their lens that they were bringing to the table. And I think, though, everyone was so respectful. That was something that I was super impressed with on the steering committee, was just that the conversations were very productive. They were very respectful. And I think at the end of the day, everyone walked away and said, I think this was the best that we could do.
What is it they say, that if nobody's happy, then it's probably the right thing to do?
Right.
So now that the plan is complete, do you see any major policy shift within the town since the last plan was developed? Like, are we completely changing, turning the Titanic, or are we kind of just heading down a similar direction that the previous plan had in place?
I think I would maybe characterize it as you're growing up and becoming more refined. I wouldn't say that you're completely changing a pathway, but I think there's lessons that you guys have all learned in your 30 years here. And I think that you're in your 30s, right? So no, I wouldn't say a substantial change, but you are getting more refined as you're aging. So
How do you mean refined? Like what?
refined. Well, I mean, I think looking at that future land use map, I think the intention of what that future land use map was supposed to be was a great idea, but maybe in practice it didn't work out as well. And I think looking at, recognizing that you only have so much land available in Avon, and really being super mindful of how to use that land with the best and highest use, and making sure that it's the best and highest use, but it is appropriate for Avon. I think that was a lens or a voice I heard a lot from the steering committee. So I think being able to recognize that, there are limited resources, and being able to still be Avon and hit those things that characterize Avon, I think are coming out in this plan.
One thing in our discussion I remember is that you had pointed out that if we want to work with entities like the state, having a plan helps in those discussions, because they know we have something concrete that we're working from, not just off the top of our head. Do you feel like this gives us what we need to work with the state if we want to do something on 36, or is it the beginning of what we need to work with the state, and we still need to refine more of what we want, like if that's a corridor that we want to enhance and need the state's help, do we still have work to do there yet?
I think this is a great foundation for that. And I think anytime that you start, this is a broader brush stroke, and anytime that you want to zero in even more, there can always be more refinement to be done. So I think this is a substantial step in the right direction from what you guys had in the past. And I think it will be a great tool for you guys to be able to take to NDOT and say, this is the public engagement that we had, this is what we heard, and this is what our community wants to see. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any more questions for our petitioner? Not sure if this is a petitioner. If not, is there anybody sitting in the audience tonight who'd like to come up and speak to this? Has anybody signed up to speak? No one has signed up to speak, so there's no need for rebuttal. So the public hearing portion of this agenda item is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion.
So there are a lot of recommendations in this plan, pages and pages of recommendations. How is Avon going to try and get through all that?
I think we get through it just like we get through everything else, one piece at a time, as stuff is presented to us. I mean, it's not up to us to be making decisions for the town. We just make recommendations, and the town council does the actual approval process. But I think as the town and the people we're working with, our business owners and other, vested groups, come forward and want to do things, hopefully they will look at this plan and embrace it themselves, and we'll all be working together as partners to see this plan become real. That's my opinion, so.
So, and I think it's a good question, and with the staff on helping us out there, because it, it does
That's what I'm
speak
asking.
to, here are the action items. Now what? And I'd rather not be a commission that waits to be told by a staff what we need, that we should be working with you and also point out what needs to be done. So what are your thoughts on taking action on this?
So I agree with Andrew that there are a lot of recommendations in this plan, and clearly we're not going to get through them all. I think what planning staff is excited about is the way the land use map came out and how we'll use it for the zoning cases. But the comprehensive plan is so much bigger. It has so many more recommendations than just zoning cases and the UDO. So I think our staff needs to be challenged to, once this is adopted, start looking at it and prioritizing. And maybe we need to come to the plan commission saying, these are what our ideal first projects would be, and take it from there. We would maybe go to DPW and say, these are the transportation issues, or have a meeting with the state, like just start getting the ball rolling on our top few. And maybe we'll come back to you and say, this is how they were prioritized. How do you want to prioritize them? And just start checking some off and get the ball rolling on them, and not just use it for zoning cases.
One of the things I like about this is that it's visionary in nature. In addition to being practical, it encourages us to think long-term and to think outside the box. And I think if we're going to be the kind of community I know that we all want Avon to be, we need to engage in that kind of thinking, not just do we rezone this particular parcel for this particular purpose, or do an approval of a new neighborhood. I think being visionary, and this encourages us to do that, and I think that's wonderful. I love that.
One thing I'd ask Greg, and I'm sure he's already thinking about this, but looking to the council on, as they go through this, are there any priorities that have been discussed? I know, like we've talked about the Ronald Reagan corridor, and I think work is going on there, but that's one of the areas that we're addressing. So I'd look for the council and provide some direction. I'd ask, could you take that to the council and help with the guidance on that?
Well, before your question, I was going to say we address those 4 districts, and certainly the live-work district, which is along the Ronald Reagan corridor, is important. And I think we have the 2 players there that are interested in bringing that into a reality. We've got the Midtown district over here on Avon Avenue and 36. So I think we've identified areas. Now I think what we need to also do is let the developers, the petitioners, when they come through, this is what we'd like to see here. Bring something that we want to see here, not what you want to see here. And I think that's the message that this is going to tell people.
And I think if you look at page 161, it is what kind of answers your question, Andrew, a little bit. It really says, the comprehensive plan, the vision statement, it's like a jumping off point, because from that base, once adopted, arises economic development plans, transportation plans, all kinds of strategic plans. The process never really ends, but an adoption of a new comprehensive plan will kind of be a reset. And it says here that you, the commission, and the council and staff then should work together to develop specific strategies to implement the plan. So often I always think about the comprehensive plan doesn't provide the answers. It provides the beginning point, and then everybody goes to work. And we've seen this work in the past. And sometimes you don't even, your annexation plan, for example, that the town pushes out, economic development plan, people forget that this then helps John Taylor and the administrative team know, oh, okay, now I see where they want what. That's our vision. How can I, act consistently with that. So it goes well beyond, you might think of land use and transportation would be the first obvious ones, but it goes well beyond that. And then in every round of this, every time the comprehensive plan is changed, then it gets busy. That's how I would say it. Then it gets really busy because this is a jumping off point and it generates all of these strategic plans is what I would call them in each specific area. So this reset, the comprehensive plan is a reset. It allows the three most important groups, at least I say, but then also a chance to interact with your RDC gets to see this, and they're supposed to review it. Your RDC in training, we specifically tell them they're supposed to know what this is. Your BZA, your RDA, your EDC, all these different organizations, all the staff, it touches all the staff, parks, it touches every department. And so, but they need to know where to go. And the comprehensive plan points them in a direction. How it specifically gets done, implemented, how it's measured, whether it's successful or not, all that will come later. But that's what this is. That's why the comprehensive plan doesn't talk so much about what happens next, because it really takes the form of action plans, funding, ordinances, resolutions, budgetary decisions, staffing decisions, where the town council puts its resources. So that's the way I would think about this. This is the diving board. We're going to go into the water. We're going to dive off of this into the cold water. See how it goes.
Hopefully there is one.
But, and that's where I would like to see maybe the town council work through all of the 3 bullet priority ones and not assign owners, but, this group would typically handle 3.1 and 4.2 and all those kind of things to kind of assign responsibilities. And then each department, all the departments within the town and the community can work through their zones. And that way you're going to actually get progress. If everybody says, oh, look, there's a plan. Oh yeah, we need to go check it up here, go check it annually and see if we're doing anything to it. Then it's not going to ever come to fruition.
One of the things that for our next subject that we're on the agenda, we're talking about that. So as a commission, we could create subcommittees to explore anything that we feel needs to be done. So it'd be if the council or the staff's not willing to, we could take action and form a committee to do that. And I don't know if that's the right thing or not to do, but it's one of those where, again, having served on the commission of so long that, well, let's be active as opposed to let's not just act on what's on the agenda. Should we be taking action on some of these? And the thing that hit me in our discussion was the Swiss cheese comment that Rachel made of Avon and the identity. It's like people don't know if they're in Avon or not in Avon because we have these pockets. And I think that is a priority that we need to figure out how to eliminate the pockets. And it's not as easy as annexation because there's other considerations and costs that go with that. But I would say a unification or merger or whatever the talks that stalled years ago with the township need to, whatever is the right way approach, because there's costs and issues around that, but to get that done, because our plan encompasses Washington Township. So we need the township as partners and all the services that they provide. And from a business aspect, I think it would become more efficient if we had a single governing body for that area. So, to me, that would be one of the priorities, even more so than I know the work that's going on now with annexation. I think that's something that the town really needs to address and something that we as a commission will look, how can we help with that?
Any further discussion, or should we go ahead and take a vote? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we forward an approval recommendation to the Avon Town Council of CPA 25-01 Plan Avon, an update to the town's comprehensive plan to help guide future growth and development in the town, since it does appropriately lay out the town's development goals and objectives and is consistent with the town's vision for public health, safety, and general welfare.
I'll second.
Having heard a motion and a second, we'll now take a vote.
Guggenberger,
4.
Zuzen,
4.
Spencer. 4. Rockabram,
4.
Reed. 4. Ransberg.
4. Motion carries, and the Avon 2025 comprehensive plan is now going to be forwarded to the town for approval. Very good. Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we now move on to review of the 2025 rules of procedure discussion.
No.
Huh? All right, so last month, Mr. Gutenberger talked about the rules of procedure and that some of you hadn't seen a copy, so we wanted to make sure that we got out the most recent copy. And then we proposed some changes based on our applying the rules of procedure to your activities and some issues we've had. And so now you've all had a chance to read it. Has everybody read it? The only change that, since you've received this, that Mr. Taylor said would need to be amended was on page 11, section 5 at the bottom regarding continuances. The part we put in green would have to be struck, that it does have to be a vote of the majority of the commission, not the commissioners present. It has to be a majority of the commission as a whole, all 7 of you, not a majority of those present. So just take out the word present or strike the whole thing. We'll figure something out. But that's the only change since you've read it or you've received it.
So if there are 5 of us here, 4 need to vote
Yes.
for it. Okay.
Yes, and that's with any decision
Okay.
that you make. First thing I did was make edit changes to if anybody had the old copy, the formatting of it was not very good. So I changed the formatting and then went through and made some pretty basic changes, putting UDO instead of zoning ordinance, adding a few things from state code. We talked about continuances all the time and not sure how many they get and how many they have a right to. So that's all laid out in here. So if you want to read that and have a discussion on it, that would be fine. We wanted to note that the public gets to speak for 3 minutes, not 2 minutes, as we
Notice that?
did our practice.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
What else am I missing, Paul?
I think that pretty much covered it.
Oh, the development plan review, DPRs, the rules didn't actually have them. Noticing to surrounding property owners, they do that now, and your rules just didn't put in there that they had to do it. So we added that in to conform with our practices. So we can have a discussion on any further changes you want to see. I don't want to actually take a vote tonight. We would like to see how you feel about all this, see if you want any more changes, then clean it up and have it ready for final adoption.
I have a few. You want to go through them? Okay. So Article 2, Section 1, I had a question here because it looks like the third sentence. These members must be elected officials, appointed officials, or employees of the town. That's talking about 3 members are appointed by the town council. So I want to understand that sentence because it's like nobody's an elected official other than Craig. Is appointed officials how that is met by, they're appointed by the town council? Okay. I didn't know if that was appointed to the town, not to you.
Yeah, for example, Bill Reed is on the redevelopment commission. So he counts as a non-citizen because of his appointment to the RDC. That's an example of what happens. We have never had employees, but we usually have either someone who's on another board or commission be appointed, like Greg's on the town council. You're on the BZA.
But I'm the commission's appointee, so not the BZA to the commission.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
That makes you an appointee.
Okay.
So we've got 4 members of the Plan Commission who are also appointed people.
Well, you're all appointed.
Well, I mean, who are appointed officials, because I'm also on the BZA, and then Greg's on the town council, and then Bill. So is that,
And Dave.
and Dave, yeah. That's all right, I forgot.
Okay.
So, but that's not an issue?
That's how you're appointed.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's, for citizen members, this could be their only thing.
I see.
Their only thing.
So there doesn't have to be 4.
Has to be 4, and that means not just for us, but they can't serve, they cannot be an appointee or elected official of the county government or the state government. It applies to all, not just the town.
So there have to be 4, but we don't have 4 citizen.
Yeah, you've got 4. David and you on the RDC, is that right?
That is right.
And Greg is on the town council. So who else is on whatever else?
Those 2 are on BZA.
We're both on the BZA.
That's it?
She's appointed,
We only have, what, 2?
Oh,
We only have 2 citizen members?
Yeah.
sorry.
We only have 2 citizen members then.
Everybody
I
else?
think you two count, I think you
I think
on the
I'm-
BZA, if that's your only other duty you have with the town, you count as citizen members.
Okay,
If that's all you do, if you know the role in that,
right.
you two, Andrew and Jennifer.
Okay.
But when we do the when the town council does the appointments, they actually start with, we need to have somebody on the RDC who could be on the Plan Commission for that very reason.
So who qualifies as an appointed official? If Greg, or I'm sorry, if Paul and I don't qualify because we're on the BZA, who would qualify? Greg would because he's on the town council.
He's elected, so he's different, but.
Right, he's an elected
I
official.
would answer it this way. If you're appointed by the town council, you're an appointed official.
So I was appointed by the town council.
Yeah, but not for something else. You were appointed as a citizen. 3 government members, 4 citizens.
I'm so
When they appoint
confused.
the 3 government members, they have to say, are they already a government appointee? Without being on the Plan Commission, are they already?
Oh, okay, at the time that
Yes.
we were appointed.
Right. So
So-
when they appoint, they do it actually very specifically. They first appoint the RDC so that when they get back to Bill, they can say, he's already in the government. We just appointed him 2 minutes ago to the RDC. This is literally the way it works.
So,
then they
and
say,
he now
"Oh,
counts
he
as
should
an
be on the Plan
appointed,
Commission
okay,
now."
okay.
But yeah, that's how it literally works. When Greg in January, when they make appointments, that's what they have to do. Who is already in the government is the way I would say it.
So is this something that, as council, you make sure that you're meeting that requirement?
Properly constituted.
Good
yes.
enough for me. Good enough. All right. Thank you.
I'm going to rely on him to do it because this is very confusing to me.
Very good.
That's
We work
good.
with this entire schedule of all the appointed officials and make sure they meet, because every board or commission has its own statute,
Yeah.
which says who's who. And
okay.
even on the, and the other thing is, only citizen members of the Plan Commission can be on the BZA.
Okay.
Only.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, it's another nuance we don't talk about much.
This is like a
Right.
game of Tetris.
Well, thanks for explaining that. I
Chess.
didn't,
There you go, Star Trek.
I just wanted to make sure I understood that. In the same article on section 4, page 2, first sentence under A, the appointing authority, there is no mention of appointing authority at this point. So I assume back at the beginning, the appointing authority is the town council.
What section are you in? I'm sorry.
I'm in section 4. It's on page 2.
Page 2, yeah, I saw that
Under
too.
removal, it says the appointing authority may remove, and it's like there's no mention of appointing authority in our document prior to that mention.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, because for some of you, the appointing authority is the town council president, and for some of you, it's the town council. You don't have just one appointing authority, you have 2.
Okay.
And you keep track of that.
We keep track of it.
Good.
Okay.
The president appoints the 3 government officials, the town council appoints the 4 citizen
Okay.
Okay.
members. So that's why we use that vanilla vague term, appointing authority, because it's not the same.
Okay, I'll go with that. Then in subsection B, on a member who misses 3 consecutive meetings, is that, it doesn't say excused or unexcused. Does that mean then it doesn't matter if it is excused or unexcused?
Yeah, well, this is just restating a statute.
Right,
And so it's a may be treated
Not a shall.
as a resignation, not
Right.
a is automatically. It's a may.
so it doesn't matter if it's excused or unexcused, because I thought like if it's unexcused, if it was excused, we call and let people know that wouldn't count to this. So,
If a member missed 3 meetings in a row and someone was concerned about it, then they would talk to if it's you, Paul, they would talk to your appointing authority.
okay,
For you, that'd be the council. And say, can somebody talk to Paul and see if he really wants to be on this thing? Otherwise, we need to replace him. But it's not a mandatory, it's not mandatory.
okay.
at
That,
all. It's just a may.
and that's fine.
And the reason it says that, Paul, is because you'll see later that otherwise removal can only be based upon cause.
Yeah.
So you have 4-year terms and, you cannot be removed because the law, the statute doesn't want you to be removed because the town council disagrees with how you decide things.
Right.
So you have that protection. But if you don't show up, then you're fair game, I guess is what it's
Okay. Okay, and I apologize, the commission, I have several things here, so jump in if you want to.
We would be surprised if you didn't.
In section 5, this is a little thing, the second line where it starts out of the commission, the commission, I'm assuming the second commission ought to be capitalized.
You'd be correct.
And then on filling vacancies, section 7, this is more of a comment. Is there any way to put a time limit on how that can be to fill the vacancy? Because we've gone months with open seats and it sometimes feel like the council president isn't moving quick enough or trying to do it. Is there any statute or is that something that we don't have any?
Well, I know in the
Way to do
past,
that.
based on conversations I've had, that it's not a matter of not trying, it's finding the specific person who meets all the requirements for that particular spot.
I-
Citizen or appointed or employee or
I understand that.
not affiliated or,
When we go 6 months plus to fill an open position, it's like, well, there's nothing poking you. So if there was you must do it per our procedures, then you're trying harder. So I'll just leave that as a comment because since you're looking that up, Dan, I don't know if that's something that we have any leg to stand on or is it even possible?
Well, it's not, you can't adopt a rule of procedure that makes the town council or town council president do anything. I think your point is well taken, that it should be as quick as possible.
Yeah.
It should be, but you have to remember, you would be trying to impose an obligation on a different body. I don't think you can do that. The statute, I wish the statute established something, but the logical extension of this is, let's say that the statute said they had 60 days to fill a vacancy. What if they don't?
right.
You can't scold the king is a little bit of the rule there.
Yeah. Well, I would make it a financial thing, but I'll leave that go, move on to my next
I think
comment.
you're right. I wish it were different. That's why.
Okay. Article 5, it's on page 5, section 3, conflict and abstention. Since the section is conflict and abstention, it seems like it only deals with conflict. I found nothing that talks about abstention, and I've always wondered, can we actually abstain a vote? Which I don't think is the right thing to do, but there's no talk of abstention in this section. So it seems like we're missing some information.
Yeah, we could add something. I think, yeah, the law says you can abstain. We don't encourage it. because it creates problems about getting that majority vote. But Linda, it seems to me we could add one that simply says a member has the right to abstain.
Seems to me if you were participating in discussions, you have to vote. You should not be allowed to abstain. And to me, either if you have a conflict and then you leave the room, so abstention shouldn't even be a thing. Either you participate in the conversation and you vote, or you remove yourself from the conversation.
Do not disagree
The
with you on that.
cases say if you abstain, you're really voting no. Since it requires a majority vote on every action, if you abstain, you are actually voting no. But again, I don't think it would be a problem.
It's like having someone absent who doesn't vote.
Like in Congress, where they just don't vote, they're counted as absent, even if they're sitting right there. But we could put in a deed that says a member has the right to abstain. That would be seems to be no skin off anybody's nose, but
Well, I would like to see language added that says, however, an abstention shall be considered a no vote.
well, no, it's not considered a no vote. It has the effect.
It has the same effect, or maybe say that, it has the same effect, because it's just like if we don't, like tonight, David's not here. And if we were, down to a 3-3 and Dave is not here, it effectively has, like you said, it has the same effect as a no vote. So whatever the petition isn't approved.
But
So
it
what-
doesn't deny it either.
And see, I don't like the abstentions either, because in that case, if we had a full commission, but somebody abstains, now we can tie again. So it's like,
Right.
Our
So there's
duty
no
is-
way where an abstention would remove the number of possible votes?
No, in every vote you take, even a motion to approve your minutes, you need 5 votes, or 4 votes. You need 4 positive votes. You always need 4 votes. It doesn't matter what you're voting on. And so if someone abstains, that, the question isn't, since it's not really democracy, the statute controls it, it's just, did we get 4 votes or not? So if
Okay.
you have 3 people vote in favor, 2 vote against, and 2 abstentions, that's still not, that's a no. I understand maybe the symmetry that you're seeking, but I wouldn't want it to say anything other than a member has the right to abstain. I just don't want to, it's not our job to characterize it. I'm just saying, for your information, it has the effect of a no vote.
Are we statutorily obligated to have a member has the right to abstain in our
There are
procedures?
cases which say that you can't make someone vote. They can abstain if they want to, yeah. There are
So we
cases.
do have to have the abstention language in there.
The cases say yes. The cases say that you must allow a member to abstain if that's what they want. Otherwise, you can't make someone vote a certain way. You don't want that power, do you? Really?
I'm fine with it.
Why do you say that?
so I guess my comment is basically we need some language in there that, and then the last one that I have, page 10, under, I guess, subsection H, number 1, where it says the chairman, probably I'll say the president shall entertain a motion to conclude the public hearing or conclude debate on the motion. We don't do that now, and it seems like that's really overkill to have a motion to conclude public comment.
Yeah.
I would,
We've never done that. We've always just said public hearings now closed.
yeah, that's why I think the language, I
Is
would
that
like the language.
Required language, or can we remove it?
I don't think it's required.
We can have it match what their practice is.
Correct. They've never done it. For the last 20 years, they've never done that. And no, I don't believe it's required. We'll check that though to make sure, because it seems a little odd that it's in there, but
The only other thing that made me think, I thought at one time our procedures talked about following Robert's rules of order or something. And,
I've tried that before, many years ago.
okay,
Yeah, there's a reason I'm not a parliamentarian.
okay, that's all the comments I had.
Is the word chairman then with president as well, like in G above that?
Any other comments, questions for staff?
Yeah, I noticed Article 8, Section 6, page 9, there's a notice for publication and requirement to publish in the local newspaper. Are there other communication tools that may be more effective, or is there a reason that we only require the only publication to be in the local newspaper? Because I don't know how many people still get the local newspaper.
So that's a state law. It
Okay.
has to be in the newspaper. So we have that in there according to state statute. It is read because people pull it from there and post it online, but we also post our agendas and everything online. So we meet the minimum statutes here, but we go above and beyond.
Okay, so that's a state statute. There's no way to modify that.
Well, you could have a rule that says we'll comply with state law and so many days before the meeting, we'll also have it on our own website. I think if you looked on there, how do you know about how many, it's up there well in advance, and that's where I see it.
Mhm.
And we're not required to make the staff report available by publication. I mean, if you go online, you can see everything you guys can see, the public can see, everything. And it's done, how long, how much?
1 week.
1 week.
So the
So
day
see,
you
it's-
get it, we put it
Yeah.
online.
So I think we far exceed, just by our practice, for many years, we far exceed the actual requirements, minimum requirements. But every year there is a movement, a push in the legislature to get rid of that. You have to publish notice in newspapers because it's thought to be less than a modern concept. And to say that if the town publishes it on their website, that's good enough for everyone. And of course, the newspaper
Yep.
industry fights that every year.
Of course.
And that's why we have this relic of days gone by, I would say. It's kind of expensive for governments to do that. But there is a group, I forget what they're called now, but there is some group out there who just thinks that the minute local governments don't have to publish things in the newspaper, everything's a secret. I think that may be an out of date.
I think it's more a matter of you have a lot of, especially your smaller papers would fold because they get so much of their income from that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's a non-media group though that argues against that change because they think it's a transparency issue. I find that surprising given the fact that, you can go through, you can get on anybody's website. Some planning groups, you can look a month in advance and see their next agenda. As soon as they kind of formulate the agenda for September, I've looked at some recently. You can find out what's on the agenda for September. Staff reports aren't there yet, some of the underlying information. So that's changing a lot, but we are there just restating that. And then one of the interesting things about that, one of the debates has been that some jurisdictions play with the number of days it has to be published in advance because the state law is viewed as a minimum. And some people say, I need 20 days before to have it published, or I need more time to get my notice in the mail. You hear all of that. I'm actually not sure I believe that. To me, if you find out that something's going on next door, you've been on vacation and you only got 4 days, I suppose it's important to you, you'll be here.
Yeah.
Or you'll find something, but that's what that is. I think you'll see a change in that in the next 5 years or so.
So is there any advantage to adding more of what the town does? Or do we not want to commit to that in the ordinance or the rules?
If you added, and then for maybe a technical glitch or somebody's sick and it doesn't get done in seven days prior to the hearing, then a member of the public primarily would have the right to ask for a continuance and force it upon you using your rules against yourself.
Okay.
That's up to you, but that's what happens.
I know there was a bill presented in the last legislative session to create a database that would allow all notices for everything probate notices, notices for damages hearings, for this kind of thing, to all be on a database so that everybody would have access. It didn't pass, but I think we're probably going to have that soon, eventually, at some point. And they may include, but you still have to put it in the newspaper just to protect the small newspapers, but.
I still just think we shouldn't use form over substance. We are providing more transparency than is required by the law. We should continue to do that. I think that's the important thing there.
Any other questions for staff? So we'll be approving this at the next,
So, yeah, we want to take anything you said tonight and then put our changes into it, any final comments Mr. Taylor might have, and then we'll present you with a clean copy for adoption.
okay. Was there anything else you wanted to add to the discussion?
On this, no.
Okay, Paul? No? Okay. No members of the committee? Nothing else? Okay, moving on to committee reports. BZA did not meet last week as normal. We're meeting tomorrow, so we have no report yet. We'll have 2 reports next month, so. Bill?
I've got the redevelopment trifecta, if you will, from last week. Indeed, 3 things. Our usual invoice approvals, also 100 South change orders and payment approvals were presented regarding it, in addition to the 2026 budget introduction.
Okay. Town council?
Working on the budget.
All right, is there anything else that anyone would like to add for the good of the order?
I have one more thing. You received this flyer on your desk today. You received the same flyer in an email from me today. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is the transportation planning organization for this area, is holding this workshop on September 18th. It's an all-day workshop. It is free for all of us. All you have to do is sign up. In the email I sent you is a link to register. You do have to register. Free lunch is provided. Paul and I are going, so
I've already signed up for it, so.
we're gonna all hang out together and learn together. That would be awesome. And the BZA will be invited tomorrow night, and the town council is also invited.
Is there
No
any,
discussing any cases.
is there anything else anyone would like to add? In that case, we are adjourned.